The stars looked different from this part of space. Captain Ethan Ward stood at the wide viewing window of the exploration vessel Horizon, hands clasped behind his back. They were farther from Earth than any human ship had ventured before. 50 years since humans had figured out faster-than-light travel, and they had already set up colonies on 12 planets. Not bad for the new kids in space. "Captain, we're picking up something strange." Lisa Morgan, the ship's science officer, didn't look up from her screen. Her fingers moved quickly across the display. "It's a signal. Not natural." Ethan walked over to her station. "Show me." A pattern of pulses appeared on the screen. Too regular to be anything but artificial. "Jake, can you clean it up?" Ethan called to his communications specialist. Jake Turner nodded, his face serious as he worked. After a few minutes, he looked up. "Sir, this is definitely a communication signal. And it's not one of ours." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. After years of searching, humanity might have just found aliens. "How far?" Ethan asked. "About 6 hours at maximum speed," Sam Rodriguez, the chief engineer, replied after checking the calculations. "The signal is coming from the third planet in the system ahead." Ethan didn't hesitate. "Set course. And alert Earth. Tell them we may have made contact." 6 hours later, the Horizon entered orbit around a blue-green planet. It reminded Ethan of Earth, but the continents were shaped differently. "Multiple structures detected on the surface," Lisa reported. "And ships in orbit. Large ones." "They've spotted us," Jake said suddenly. "We're receiving a transmission." "On screen," Ethan ordered. The main display flickered, then showed a face that wasn't human. The alien had pale blue skin, large eyes, and no visible nose. It spoke, its voice surprisingly musical. "Unknown vessel, you have entered Viridian Confederation space. Identify yourselves." Jake looked at Ethan, who nodded. "This is Captain Ethan Ward of the Earth exploration vessel Horizon. We come in peace." The alien's eyes widened slightly. "Earth, we have no record of this world." "We're from the Sol system," Ethan clarified. "We've only developed faster-than-light travel recently." "Ah," the alien said, its tone changing. "A young species. This explains much. I am Ambassador Jolak of the Viridian Confederation, an alliance of 7 species. You are the first new intelligent life we have encountered in over 300 years." Kate Miller, the medical officer, whispered, "They think we're brand new to space." Ethan kept his face neutral. "We would welcome the opportunity to establish diplomatic relations." Jolak seemed pleased. "Of course, we always welcome new species to the galactic community. With proper guidance, your people may one day reach our level of advancement." Sam muttered something under his breath that Ethan pretended not to hear. "Your ship is invited to dock at our orbital station," Jolak continued. "We will prepare accommodations suitable for your biology." "Thank you," Ethan replied. "We accept your invitation." After the transmission ended, the bridge erupted in excited conversation. "Did you hear that?" Jake asked. 7 alien species in their alliance. "And they think we're babies," Sam added, sounding annoyed. Lisa was already analyzing the data from the planet. "Their technology is at least a century ahead of ours, maybe more." "Should we tell them we've been around for thousands of years?" Kate asked. "Just because we only figured out FTL travel recently doesn't mean we're new." Ethan shook his head. "Let's learn more first. They seem friendly, if a bit condescending. We'll play along for now." As the Horizon approached the massive orbital station, Ethan sent a message to Earth, reporting their discovery and the planned diplomatic meeting. The Horizon docked with surprising ease. Through the viewing windows, they could see aliens of different shapes and colors moving about the station. "Ready?" Ethan asked his crew. They all nodded, excitement and nervousness visible on their faces. "Then let's go meet the neighbors," he said, leading the way to the airlock. "And try not to mention that humans have been building civilizations for thousands of years." Let's see what they think they know about us first. The door hissed open, revealing a delegation of aliens waiting to greet them. Humanity's first step into the wider galactic community had begun. 2 weeks after first contact, a larger human delegation arrived at Nexus Prime, the central world of the Viridian Confederation. Ambassador Eric Grant stepped off the shuttle, followed by Dr. Olivia Carter, Earth's leading genohistorian. Captain Ethan Ward and his crew from the horizon stood ready to greet them. "Quite the welcome," Eric said, looking at the massive alien structures that surrounded the landing pad. Towers of crystal and metal reached into the clouds. Flying vehicles zipped between them. "They like to show off," Ethan replied quietly. "They still think we're primitives who just learned to make fire." Ambassador Jolak approached with several other aliens. "Welcome to Nexus Prime, humans. We have prepared a tour of our galactic archive. It contains the history of all known civilizations. We look forward to it," Eric said with a diplomatic smile, "and to sharing our own history as well." The archive was housed in an enormous dome. Inside, holograms and display screens showed countless alien worlds and species. "Here is our section on Earth," Jolak said, leading them to a small display. "As you can see, we have monitored your system for some time." Dr. Carter studied the information. "This only goes back about 400 years, she noted. "Our civilization is much older." Jolak blinked slowly. "Our probes have observed your Sol system for thousands of years. We only detected significant technology in the last few centuries. Human civilization on Earth dates back at least 6,000 years, Dr. Carter said. And we have evidence of complex human societies from 12,000 years ago." The aliens looked at each other. One of them, a historian named Trell, spoke up. "This cannot be correct. Our monitoring was thorough." Ambassador Eric stepped forward. "Dr. Carter has brought historical records. Perhaps you would care to examine them." Dr. Carter opened her tablet and displayed images of ancient human sites: the Great Pyramid of Giza, the Roman Colosseum, the Great Wall of China. "These structures are thousands of years old," she explained, "built by humans using only simple tools." The aliens studied the images with growing confusion. "If this is true, why did our sensors not detect these structures?" Jolak asked. "Perhaps your monitoring wasn't as thorough as you believed," Ethan suggested. Trell, the alien historian, seemed troubled. "We would need to verify these claims with physical evidence. Images can be created." "We invite you to visit Earth," Eric said. "See our ancient sites for yourselves." Jolak conferred with the other aliens in their own language. Then he turned back to the humans. "The Council finds this matter worthy of investigation. We will organize an expedition to your world." Later, in their private quarters, the human delegation discussed the meeting. "They really had no idea," Lisa said. "They thought we went from cave paintings to spaceships in a few hundred years." "Something doesn't add up," Dr. Carter said. "Their monitoring technology is advanced. How could they miss entire civilizations?" "Maybe they weren't looking in the right places," Sam suggested. "Or maybe something was hiding us," Dr. Carter said quietly. The others looked at her. "What do you mean?" Ethan asked. "I don't know yet. But think about it. They watched our system for thousands of years and somehow missed the pyramids, the Roman Empire, medieval castles, all of it. That seems like more than a technical error." "You think someone deliberately hid Earth's development?" Eric asked. Dr. Carter shrugged. "I'm just saying it's strange, and I want to know why." Ethan looked out the window at the alien city. "Well, they're coming to Earth to see for themselves. That should be interesting." "Very interesting," Dr. Carter agreed, "because I checked their star charts. According to their records, they've never sent a physical expedition to Earth before, only automated probes. So we'll be the first to bring them home," Jake said. "Yes," Dr. Carter replied. "And I can't help wondering what else they might find when they get there. Things even we don't know about our own planet." Outside, the twin suns of Nexus Prime set behind the crystalline towers, casting long shadows across the alien world. Soon, they would return to Earth, bringing visitors from the stars to a planet that might hold more secrets than either species realized. The Viridian ship entered Earth's orbit 1 month later. It was much larger than the horizon, shaped like a silver leaf with glowing blue lines across its surface. From the viewing deck, Dr. Olivia Carter watched her home planet grow larger. Beside her stood Nithra, the chief Viridian archaeologist. "Your world is very blue," Nithra observed. Her skin was pale green, and her 4 eyes blinked in pairs. 70% water, Dr. Carter explained. "Where should we take you first?" "The oldest structures you claim to have," Nithra replied. "The ones our probes somehow missed." Captain Ethan Ward joined them. "We've set up an expedition to 3 sites: the Great Pyramids in Egypt, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, and underwater ruins off Japan." Nithra tilted her head. "Underwater ruins?" "Yes," Dr. Carter said. "Some of our ancient cities were lost to rising sea levels thousands of years ago." The first stop was the Great Pyramids. As the human and alien teams stood in the desert heat, the Viridians used scanning devices to examine the massive structures. "These are indeed over 4,000 years old," Nithra confirmed, looking troubled. "Built with stone-cutting techniques that would require significant engineering knowledge. And they align perfectly with certain stars," Dr. Carter added. Nithra looked up at the cloudless sky, then back at her scanner. "Our records show no structures here during that period. It is as if they were invisible to us." The team moved on to Göbekli Tepe, an archaeological site in Turkey. Stone pillars arranged in circles stood weathered by time. The site was over 11,000 years old, far older than the pyramids. "This predates your formal civilization," Nithra said, walking among the pillars, "yet shows organized religion and stonework. It rewrote our understanding of early humans," Dr. Carter explained. "We used to think humans this old were just hunter-gatherers. This proved they could organize and build complex structures." Nithra stopped suddenly, staring at her scanner. "There is an anomaly beneath us, something our instruments can't identify." Captain Ward called over to Sam Rodriguez, who had brought ground-penetrating radar equipment. "Sam, can you check something for us?" After scanning the area, Sam looked up in surprise. "There's a chamber under there. Not on any of our maps." They brought in excavation equipment and carefully dug beneath one of the stone circles. By evening, they had uncovered what looked like a door made of a black material that wasn't stone. "This isn't human construction," Dr. Carter whispered. "At least, not any ancient human culture I know of." Nithra ran her scanner over the door. "This material, it's similar to Viridian alloys, but older, much older." With careful work, they managed to open the door. Steps led down into darkness. The team descended with lights, the air growing colder around them. At the bottom, they found a small chamber. Inside was a single pedestal holding a metal box. Strange symbols covered its surface. "I recognize some of these symbols," Nithra said, her voice hushed. "They appear in our oldest legends, tales from before the Confederation." Dr. Carter looked at the alien symbols, then at some carvings on the wall. "And these match ancient human writing, a language called Proto-Sinaitic, but the two are mixed together here." "That's impossible," Nithra said. "Our peoples could not have met 11,000 years ago." Captain Ward stepped forward. "Only one way to find out what's inside." The box opened with surprising ease. Inside was a small device, clearly technological, with a crystal at its center. "This is not primitive technology," Nithra said. "This is advanced, more advanced than what we have now." When Dr. Carter touched the device, it hummed to life. A hologram appeared above it, showing stars and planets. One planet was clearly Earth. Another matched descriptions of the Viridian homeworld. "It's a star map," Captain Ward said. "Not just any map," Nithra replied, her 4 eyes wide with shock. "This shows travel routes between our worlds. from over 50,000 years ago. Dr. Carter looked up from the ancient device. I think we've just discovered that our peoples have met before, long before either of us remember. The device from Göbekli Tepe was brought back to a secure research facility in North America. For 3 days, human and Viridian scientists worked together to unlock its secrets. Dr. Carter hadn't slept much, existing on coffee and excitement. We've translated more of the symbols, she told Captain Ward, and the others gathered in the lab. And we've accessed some of the data files stored in the crystal. Nithra operated the holographic controls with practiced ease. What we found is difficult to accept. A 3-dimensional image appeared above the device. It showed Earth as it looked 50,000 years ago, but with sprawling cities and what appeared to be spaceports. This can't be right, Sam said, leaning closer. Humans 50,000 years ago were primitive. We were still figuring out basic tools. According to everything we know, yes, Dr. Carter agreed. But this device tells a different story. Earth once had an advanced civilization capable of space travel. They reached the stars long before we remember. Our records contain no mention of this, Ambassador Eric said. Neither do ours, Nithra replied. Yet the evidence is here. Jake pointed to strange symbols flowing beneath the image. What does the text say? It's a historical record, Dr. Carter explained. It describes a war, a terrible war that spanned multiple star systems. Nithra continued. According to this, humans and the early Viridian species fought together against another race. The device calls them the Voidborn. The hologram changed to show a dark, angular ship. The alien form inside was like a living shadow with too many limbs. The Voidborn were predators, Dr. Carter read. They consumed other species, not just for food but for something called essence extraction. They attacked both Earth and the Viridian homeworld. This matches fragments of our oldest myths, Nithra said softly. Tales of shadow eaters from the void between stars. The hologram shifted again, showing massive battles in space, Earth ships and Viridian vessels fighting side by side against the Dark Fleet. The war lasted decades. Dr. Carter continued reading. The Allied forces pushed the Voidborn back system by system. But the Voidborn made one final desperate attack. On Earth, Captain Ward guessed, watching the hologram show hundreds of enemy ships heading toward a blue planet. Dr. Carter nodded. The record says it was the largest battle of the war. The Voidborn were defeated here, around Earth, but at a terrible cost. The hologram showed the aftermath. Earth's surface burning, oceans boiling, the atmosphere clouded with ash and smoke. The planet was devastated, Nithra said, made nearly uninhabitable. The surviving humans had a choice. Dr. Carter translated. Leave their homeworld forever or adapt to the new conditions. They stayed, Sam said, watching the images. Dr. Carter nodded. Many did. They used genetic modification to help their children survive on the changed Earth. But in doing so, they had to sacrifice much of their technology and knowledge. They made themselves primitive again, Captain Ward said, understanding dawning. On purpose. While the Viridians believed all advanced humans had perished, Nithra added, we set up automated probes to monitor Earth, but we focused our attention elsewhere. The loss was too painful to witness. Kate looked up from the medical data she was reviewing. The genetic modifications would explain certain quirks in human DNA that we've never fully understood. They're not random mutations. They're engineered changes. So humans aren't newcomers to space, Jake said. We're veterans of a war so terrible it knocked us back to the Stone Age. Ambassador Eric turned to Jolak, who had been silent throughout the presentation. It seems our peoples have a shared history after all. Jolak bowed his head. It appears we have been allies before, and perhaps the greatest battle our peoples ever fought was forgotten by both. The room fell silent as they all stared at the ancient device, still showing images of a past no one remembered. A history erased by catastrophe, yet preserved in this single artifact, buried beneath one of Earth's oldest known structures. There's something else, Dr. Carter said, examining the final data stream. This device was not meant to be a historical record. It's a warning. As the researchers continued to study the ancient device, strange energy readings began appearing on their instruments. Captain Ward received an urgent call from the horizon, still in orbit. "Captain, we're detecting energy signatures that weren't there before," Lisa Morgan reported. "They appear to be in orbit around Earth." "Natural phenomenon?" Captain Ward asked. "No, sir. They have a pattern, and they're cloaked somehow. We only noticed them because the energy from the ancient device seems to be interacting with them." Captain Ward looked at Dr. Carter. "What did you say about a warning?" "The device was meant to alert someone if it was ever activated," she replied. "I think we just rang the doorbell." The team moved operations to the horizon to investigate the orbital signals. Using the data from the ancient device, they calibrated the ship's sensors to detect what had been invisible before. "There," Sam said, pointing to the screen. "In high orbit. It's some kind of satellite." The image showed an object unlike any satellite humans had built. It was sleek and silver, with curves that seemed to bend in impossible ways. "That's ancient human design," Nithra said, comparing it to images from the device. "From the pre-war era. It's been up there for 50,000 years. Jake asked in disbelief. "How is that possible?" "Self-repairing technology," Sam guessed. "Advanced materials we can't even imagine." "There are more," Lisa said. "At least 20 of them in different orbits, all hidden until now." Captain Ward made a decision. "Sam, can we get close to one?" "Yes, but docking would be tricky." "Then let's try. If these are from ancient humans, maybe they have more answers." The horizon moved carefully toward the nearest satellite. As they approached, the satellite seemed to respond, extending a docking port. "It's inviting us in," Sam said. Captain Ward chose a small team: himself, Sam, and Dr. Carter. They crossed through the airlock into the ancient satellite. Inside, lights came on automatically, revealing a curved corridor that led to a central chamber. In the center of the chamber stood a pillar of light. As they watched, the light formed into a human shape. "Greetings," it said in a voice that sounded almost musical. "I am Scifistories, Guardian Eye of Earth. You have activated the warning beacon. Please identify yourselves." Dr. Carter stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Olivia Carter. This is Captain Ethan Ward and Engineer Sam Rodriguez. We're humans from Earth." The AI seemed to study them. "Genetic confirmation matches Earth-born humans. Analysis indicates technological level, post-industrial, early space age. This is earlier than expected awakening." "Expected awakening?" Captain Ward asked. "I was programmed to remain dormant until Earth humans rediscovered their heritage or until the threat returned," Centennial explained. "You have found the warning beacon at Site Alpha. This indicates a partial awakening event." "We found a device at Göbekli Tepe," Dr. Carter explained. "It showed us the war against the Voidborn." "The First War," Centennial corrected. "Yes, that would trigger my protocols." "First War?" Sam asked. "There was more than one." "The Voidborn were defeated but not destroyed," Centennial said. "The survivors flowed into deep space. My creators predicted they would return." "Your creators were ancient humans?" Captain Ward asked. "Yes. After the devastation of Earth, most survivors chose to return to a simpler existence. But a small group remained as guardians. They created me and others like me to watch over Earth and prepare for the Voidborn's return." "Where are these guardians now?" Dr. Carter asked. Centennial paused. "Only one remains. The others sacrificed themselves over the millennia to maintain the defense network." The AI gestured, and part of the wall slid open. Inside was what looked like a glass coffin. A human man floated inside, appearing to be asleep. "This is Guardian Alan Phillips," Centennial said. He has remained in stasis for 50,000 years, awakening periodically to guide human development from the shadows. He's been alive all this time? Sam asked in astonishment. His consciousness has, Centennial replied. And now, it is time for him to awaken again. Because if you have found the warning beacon, it means the Voidborn may soon return. The glass coffin began to glow. The man inside opened his eyes. Alan Phillips opened his eyes slowly. He was tall and lean with silver-gray hair and eyes that seemed too old for his face. He stepped out of the stasis chamber with surprising steadiness for someone who had been asleep for centuries. Centennial, he said, his voice rough from disuse. Status report. Partial awakening protocol initiated. The AI responded. Humans have discovered the warning beacon at Site Alpha. We have visitors from Earth and the Viridian Confederation. Alan looked at Captain Ward, Dr. Carter, and Sam. His gaze lingered on Dr. Carter for a moment. You look like someone I knew, long ago. I'm Dr. Olivia Carter, she said. This is Captain Ethan Ward and Engineer Sam Rodriguez. Alan nodded. And the Viridians? They remembered us after all. Not exactly, Captain Ward explained. They thought we were a new species. We just discovered our shared history. A sad smile crossed Alan's face. Then our plan worked too well. We wanted to protect both our peoples from the trauma of the past. Before anyone could ask more questions, Centennial's light form flickered red. Emergency alert, the AI announced. Distress signal detected from human colony on Proxima Centauri B attackers of unknown origin. Show me, Alan commanded. A holographic screen appeared, showing chaotic footage of a human settlement under attack. Dark ships moved across the sky, firing weapons that seemed to consume rather than destroy. It's them, Alan whispered. The Voidborn. They've returned. Captain Ward stepped forward. How many human colonies have been established outside the Sol system? 12, Sam answered. Proxima Centauri is our oldest and largest. Alan's face hardened. Not just a raid then. This is a full invasion. He turned to Centennial. Activate the network. Contact the Viridian Council. Tell them Code Shadowfall is in effect. What's Code Shadowfall? Dr. Carter asked. An ancient protocol, Alan explained, established after the First War. If the Voidborn ever returned, both our peoples would unite again to fight them. But the Viridians don't remember, Captain Ward pointed out. Their systems do, Alan replied. Deep in their oldest defense computers, the code remains. It should trigger their ancient defense systems. Centennial's form pulsed. Message sent. The Viridian Council confirms automatic defense protocols are activating across their systems. They are confused. I imagine they would be, Sam said. Captain Ward's communicator buzzed. It was Jake from the horizon. Captain, something strange is happening. The Viridian ships are receiving some kind of automated orders. Ambassador Jolak is demanding to know what's going on. Bring them here, Alan said. They deserve to know the truth. An hour later, the ancient satellite's meeting chamber was crowded with humans and Viridians. Alan had just finished explaining about the Guardians and the Voidborn. Our peoples fought together once, he said. We need to do so again. How do we know these attackers are truly the Voidborn? Jolak asked. This could be some other threat. The energy pattern of their weapons is distinctive. Alan said. They don't just destroy. They consume. How did you defeat them before? Captain Ward asked. We didn't. Not completely, Alan admitted. We won the battle but not the war. We knew they would return someday. Their hibernation cycle is approximately 50,000 years. So they've awakened again, Dr. Carter said. All of them. I don't know, Alan replied, but we need to find out. Captain Ward, your ship is the fastest we have. The Horizon? Yes, she's our newest explorer class. Then we need to investigate what happened at Proxima Centauri, Alan said. "See what we're facing." "I'll go," Captain Ward volunteered without hesitation. "I'll accompany you," Jolak said, surprising everyone. "If our peoples fought together before, perhaps it is time we did so again." Alan nodded. "Send Tyneal, and I will awaken Earth's orbital defenses and contact the other Guardian stations. We'll need every advantage we can get." As they prepared to leave for the horizon, a second emergency alert sounded. "Multiple attacks detected," Sentinel announced. 3 Viridian worlds and 2 more human colonies report contact with void-borne ships. Alan's face grew grim. It's not a raid. It's not even an invasion. This is extermination. 2 weeks after the first attacks, Earth had become the center of a desperate defense effort. Ships from every human colony gathered in orbit alongside Viridian vessels. Alan Phillips had activated hidden facilities around the solar system, revealing technology that had been kept secret for 50,000 years. Captain Ward, now promoted to admiral, stood on the bridge of the horizon. The ship had been upgraded with ancient technology, making it faster and more powerful than before. "Report from Proxima Centauri," Jake said from his communication station. "The colony survived the initial attack. They're evacuating the civilians now." "And the void-borne ships?" Admiral Ward asked. "Moving toward the Viridian colony in the Alpha Centauri system. Ambassador Jolak's fleet is trying to intercept them." Dr. Carter entered the bridge. She had been working with Alan and Nithra to understand the ancient records. "We found something," she said. "In the oldest archives from both our worlds, the ancient humans and Viridians developed a weapon during the First War, something that could defeat the Voidborn permanently." "Why wasn't it used?" Sam asked. "They never finished it," Dr. Carter explained. "The final battle came too soon. But the plans were preserved, along with most of the components." Admiral Ward turned to her. "Can we build it now?" "Alan thinks so. He's already started. But we need time." The ship's alert system sounded. Multiple Voidborn vessels detected entering the solar system, Lisa announced. "At least 30 ships." "They're coming for Earth," Jake said. Admiral Ward nodded. "They remember their defeat here. They want revenge." He opened a channel to the combined fleet. "All ships, move to defensive positions. Protect the orbital platforms at all costs. Those ancient defenses are our best hope." The battle for Earth began. The Voidborn ships were like living shadows, absorbing energy weapons and conventional missiles alike. But the ancient defense platforms that Seti and Tyneal had activated fired weapons that tore through the Voidborn hulls. From the horizon, Admiral Ward coordinated the defense. Human and Viridian ships fought side by side, protecting each other, covering each other's retreats, following strategies developed 50,000 years ago, yet still effective today. "Admiral," Jake called out. "Message from Earth. It's Alan Phillips." Alan's face appeared on the main screen. "The weapon is ready, but we need to deploy it at the Voidborn staging area. Not here. We've located their main fleet gathering in the Horsehead Nebula." "That's 16 light-years away," Admiral Ward said. "With the enhancements to your ship, you can make it in 2 days." Alan replied. "I'm sending you the weapon now. It's being teleported to your cargo bay." "Teleported?" Sam asked in surprise. "Another old technology we kept in reserve," Alan said with a small smile. "Good luck, Admiral. The future of both our peoples depends on you." The horizon broke away from the battle, its new engines glowing with strange blue fire as it accelerated beyond any speed a human ship had achieved before. 2 days later, they reached the Horsehead Nebula. Hundreds of Voidborn ships waited there, preparing for a final assault on Earth and the Viridian worlds. "They haven't detected us yet," Lisa said. "The cloaking technology is working." Admiral Ward looked at the ancient weapon now installed on the horizon's main deck. It was a sphere of crystal and metal, pulsing with inner light. "How does it work?" he asked Dr. Carter. "It creates a resonance field that disrupts the Voidborn's unique energy pattern," she explained. It doesn't just kill them, it prevents them from ever reforming. Range: the entire nebula, according to Alan's calculations. Admiral Ward took a deep breath. Activated. The weapon began to spin faster and faster. Light poured from it, flowing through special conduits throughout the ship. The horizon itself became the weapon, channeling energy outward in an expanding wave. The wave washed over the Voidborn fleet. Their ships twisted, then began to dissolve like shadows at dawn. "It's working," Dr. Carter whispered. When it was over, not a single Voidborn ship remained. The ancient enemy, the nightmare that had haunted two civilizations for 50,000 years, was finally gone. The horizon turned and headed home, its mission complete. 1 month later, representatives from all human colonies and Viridian worlds gathered on Earth. In a ceremony held at the ancient site of Göbekli Tepe, a new treaty was signed. "Today we remember our shared past," Alan Phillips said to the assembled crowd. "And we look forward to a shared future. No longer will our history be forgotten. No longer will we be strangers to each other."